So I grew up in a really small town in Texas, and ended up getting married to my high school sweetheart, Miranda, and we now have 2 kids. And but growing up, I grew up working in my dad's mechanic shop, and I was always learning martial arts, and I always in my heart, I had a feeling like I wanted to help people. I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a difference. I just didn't know what that necessarily path was. When I was about 8 years old, I went to see this play at a church called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames, and it was about this play about people dying, and if they gave their life to Jesus, they were going into heaven, and if they didn't, they were going into hell, and it scared me. It scared me a lot, and so that night, I ended up I said the prayer. But growing up through my life after that, I just never really understood what it was to be a Christian. I didn't know that God wanted to be so involved in my life, and He wanted to empower me and help me to fulfill a calling. I didn't know that part. So as I grow up, I began to have this really bad identity crisis. I'm now running a martial arts school. I'm a new husband, and just got a lot of issues, a lot of hurts, and ended up just getting entangled in a lot of really bad things, which I didn't know, but was the enemy. So as time goes on, in the martial arts school, I'm teaching and things are going really good, but this insecurity sets in, and I end up going to take steroids because I didn't think I was big enough, so I would try that. And then I was a pill popper. I would do medication to try to take away this pain that I was constantly feeling. I was looking at stuff on the internet I'm not supposed to be looking at, not honoring my wife in any way necessary. And so just that was the downhill spiral that I started to go down, and it started to pour out into my life and into my profession. I remember at night that I'd be laying in bed and I would begin seeing things moving in the room, like seeing shadows move, things that were darker than darkness itself, and these thoughts would end up coming up about how worthless and pathetic and that I didn't deserve to live anymore, and that I didn't deserve anything good, and like these thoughts would constantly pour into me. And I remember specifically one day, at my martial arts school, I'm hitting the bag, and I hear this voice tell me, says, "Dennis, slam your head into the bag until you die." And that scared me. I remember throwing my gloves off, throwing them to the ground. I was in my martial arts school all by myself, and I'm like, what is that? Like I yelled it out loud. And after a little bit, we had a weight room in the gym, and pulling on a cable machine, a lat machine. And as I'm pulling it down, I hear the voice come back, and I hear the voice say, "Hang yourself." So to make a long story short, the enemy was really after me, was wanting me to end my life. So in October of 2011, I was so frustrated of everything happening in my life, hearing voices telling me to kill myself, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not strong enough, and seeing things that are just freaking me out because I can't explain what they are. And I'm sitting at a pub table in our apartment, and Miranda had already gone to bed, and I remember cleaning out my iTunes with just all this music about hatred and anger and all that stuff, and I just start downloading music that has to do with Jesus. And I'm like, I got it, Jesus, I got to hear from you. I remember praying that, God, I need to hear from you. I need you to speak to me. And I was listening to podcasts to different preachers, and I'm searching, like I want to hear God speak to me. I'm like, God, if you're real, like you've got to talk to me because I'm a mess. And I don't hear anything, nothing. And so I shut down my computer. It's the middle of the night. I walk down the hallway to go to bed, and I remember saying in my heart, I'm like, well, maybe tomorrow I'll hear something. And so I go and I reach for the doorknob, and I hear this new voice, just this beautiful voice. It was like speaking into my heart. It was so loud within me that it might as well would have been audible. And I remember the voice saying, "Son, turn around and go back to the table." So I made a decision. I went back to the table and I sat down, and I remember it was so loud. It was so loud within me that I spoke out loud to the voice back. I said out loud, "What do you want me to do?" And the voice comes back and he says, "Son, I know you love music. You should play some." So I opened back up my laptop and I put earphones in, and I start listening to music again, and listening to this music about Jesus. But something happened in that moment. Like, I understood every word that was being sang about Jesus, and like, it was weird. It was, my heart just melted. Like, all the brokenness, it was like I was trying to put this broken vase back together with all these pieces of glue, and it just finally, out of all of my self-works, it all shattered. Like, I completely fell apart in that moment. Like, there was this feeling that something so great, so amazing, so powerful walked into the room, that it was just so unexplainable. But I just knew, like, I knew that majesty had walked in the room. I knew that Jesus just walked in the room. And so I'm bawling my eyes out in the middle of the night, Stephenville, Texas, in my apartment. Jesus walks into the apartment, and his voice is emotional too, and he says, "Son, are you sick of this yet?" And I break. I say, "Yes, Jesus, I'm so tired of trying to do everything on my own. I'm tired of feeling this way." And I just started confessing all of my sins, which it took a little while. We got them all out though. And I was like, "Jesus, I give you everything that I am." I remember saying to Jesus, "I give you everything that I am." And I remember feeling this pressure on my chest, and it almost felt like it was a hand on my chest. It was pressing down really hard. And I heard the voice say, "Son, it is finished." Which at that time I did not know that that's what Jesus said before he gave up his life on the cross. And he said, "It is finished." And all of a sudden I felt all this hurt, all this insecurity, all this pain. Every single thing that was dark that had welled up inside of me just got yanked out in that moment. And in that moment, like, all that hurt and all that pain comes out. And then that's when the Holy Spirit kicked in. All of a sudden I felt this thing rush inside of me, and it really did. It filled my heart full of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, everything. And that was October 6, 2011. And my life hasn't been the same since. I'm a broken guy who needs Jesus every day of my life, but I want every single person that I come across to know exactly who he is and how much he loves them.